Alright, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shamika, and this is Uncommonly Queen. As of now, I have been away for a very long time. I believe my last video may have been a summer library haul. Yeah, I think that was my last video. And then I kind of fell off of reading, and I fell off of recording. There were a few things that happened during the summer. It was a very bleak summer. I did have plans to do some other recording, but the summer seemed the summer was very overwhelming for me. I did do a certification for my job, which I was studying for into the summer, and then I did obtain that. And then after I completed my certification exam, I went into swimming, which was nerve-wracking. And then I read a few good books that I didn't kind of follow up with you guys on. And let's see, went into the fall, really wasn't reading. I was more into like doing movies and series doing then, and I started to try to get back into reading in December with the Christmas reads, and just never completed anything. But I am ready to jump back into my reading. I'm ready to jump back into the channel, which I have some new plans for the channel for this year, or some extended plans for the channel this year that I believe that will help me stay consistent with the channel. I definitely want to continue to focus on books and reading, because that's something I love. So this video is going to be kind of like a 2024 reading wrap up, and plans for 2025 with my reading. So for 2024, my main goals were to fall back in love with reading. I started off the year reading, like, kind of just trying to figure out what I liked. I read a little bit of everything. I read a little bit of romance, thrillers. I read, well, no, basically that's all I read, romance and thrillers in the beginning of the year. And I got into like a kind of like a pace, and then once the summer hit, everything just went haywire. But I'm going to give you the top 10 books, my top 10 books of 2020. Well, let me tell you how many books I read. So I didn't keep up with what I read. I didn't track anything. I tried to do a little reading journal, which was like a prompted reading journal, which I didn't like. I kept up with it like in the first quarter of the year, but then I kind of like stopped keeping up with anything. But I did go back through my my library shelf, the books I checked out from the library that I read. I went back through my Audible. I went back through my Kindle to see what I read, back through my shelf to see how many books I read and what I love. So as I've counted, I've read between 20 to 25 books, which I think that was a great year. I didn't give myself a reading goal of how many books I wanted to read. I just wanted to read. So out of those 20 books, my top 10 books were James by Percival Everett. James is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn from James' perspective, which is the slave that was with Huckleberry Finn when he attempted to run away, or when he did run away. Such a good book. I think I want to read it again in 2025. Such a good book. My next favorite book of the year was A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, which was the story of a girl who kind of didn't fit in her family. They had plans for her, like joining the family business, but she wanted something different. So she meets a lady and moves to New York, starts her flower shop business, and it's the story of a man. It's a story of her love story with a man that's kind of been looking for her all his life. Basically, it's such a good book. The music aspect is heavy in music, magical realism. The way that it is written just makes you want to fall in love, and I love that book. So I'm looking forward to more of Tia Williams in 2025. I know she's coming out with another book, but it's going to be a YA. But I don't really read YA that much, but I will be reading that. The next book that I enjoyed was Indigo by Beverly Jenkins. Indigo was published probably in the 90s, the early 90s. It is a historical fiction. It is about a woman named Indigo who is kind of like I don't want to say a head, but she's someone who's on the Underground Railroad. Like, she's a stop on the Underground Railroad. And the Black Moses gets hurt on his trip to leading a group through the Underground Railroad, and he stops to kind of heal with Indigo. And it's the story of how they fall in love. It's such a sweet love story. It's such like historically true. Like the nuance of the story is true. So it made it good. Like, the reason her name is Indigo, the ending of the story, what happens. I think I want to read this again too in 2025. But Indigo was, I think, my favorite romance of the year. No. Wait, hold on. It's in my top two. This is something you should read. If you're a romance girly, if you love historical fiction, if you like Underground Railroad, slavery, it had like thrilling parts. It's such a good book. And it wasn't all about the love story. The love was a part of the story. It wasn't the entire story. So that what also made it chef's kiss. Another book that I enjoyed was Bitter and Sweet. I think it's labeled as a Christian fiction, but was a second book. I want to say it's a trilogy. The first one was a thing about home, where a social media influencer comes down south to find her father's side of the family. The second one is about two sisters who are from the same town. It mixes modern day and history together. So it shows you, well, let's say the sisters are trying to save their family restaurant. So we're getting that perspective, and then we're getting the perspective of their great grandmother who opened the restaurant, everything she had to do to get the restaurant, and then everything they're doing to try to save the restaurant. Is such a good book. Like, and the name Bitter and Sweet, you see how that is portrayed in the story is such a good lesson about how it's like a redemption story, and how unforgiveness and bitterness and all of those things can kind of like ruin your life, and how to overcome. So such a good story. The next one is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. Oh my God, guys. I had to put down her first book in this series before I let go. I don't know if I read halfway through it. It was something about like, it was like the two main characters, right, were divorced. He was moving on with someone who you could tell really liked him, and it was like the wife just all of a sudden decided that she wanted him back, and so it was like bump the girl that he was with. That for me, that aspect of the story was a little, I know that happens, but it was just a little jarring to know that somebody can decide like, I'm no longer through with you, so I want you back. And they just, but I guess that also speaks to how much that the main character really felt for the girlfriend at the time, because it was just, and I just had to put it back, because I thought that was just, I couldn't get over that aspect of the story. I just couldn't, like, but This Could Be Us was, the story was about a woman whose husband kind of did her really dirty, and she's trying to learn how to live on her own, be her own woman, raise her kids, make it, while also finding love again. It had autism representation, self-care, self-love, worthiness. It's such a good book for a group of friends to read, single women to read, single mothers to read. It kind of gives you hope that love could be sweet again. The book that I read at the top of the year that really made me want to continue to read was Their Vicious Games by Joel Wellington. If I didn't say This Could Be Us is by Kennedy Ryan, Their Vicious Games by Joel Wellington was, I think it's a YA thriller, if I'm not mistaken, a thriller. But it was like Squid Games meets like sorority, Gossip Girl kinda ish together. So what happens is this girl, she's going to a private school. She gets into it with one of the girls in her school who is wealthy. Her family isn't wealthy. She gets into it with supposedly one of her friends, and they rescind her college scholarship, a college that she really wanted to go to. So she comes up with this plan to get into this competition. This wealthy family in the town hosts this competition every year, where they put a group of girls through these challenges, and the last one standing kind of gets like a sponsorship to college. So she's thinking that she can go through this challenge, and she wins, they will reinstate her back into school, So she goes through this challenge, and it is literally Hunger Games, Squid Games, like it's fight to the death. It is wild, and there's a lot of things that come, secrets that come uncovered. Like she changes, things just bloom from the beginning of the book, and we see like her kind of grapple with what's worth it. Such a good book. Another book that I read was Soul Ties by Miss Candice, and I read this during between the summer transitioning to the fall. Guys, I read this twice, listened to it on Audible, and I read it. It was such a good book. Miss Candice did her thing on this one. Like, the main character, the man, is in like this, he's Haitian, I think. He's Haitian, he's married, he's the head of a criminal organization. Just think Ghost, but Haitian, from Power. And he's married, and his wife is pregnant, and she gives him a hall pass. He fights himself about the hall pass, but ends up taking the hall pass, and then meets this girl that he can't shake. So it's like he met his soulmate instead of a soul tie. It was like a soulmate situation. Like, the topics that happens in the book is so real. The contemplation between cheating, hall passes, is cheating right or wrong? Like, it makes you think, is there a situation where cheating is acceptable? It will make you rethink your view on cheating. It has spice in it, but the spice was not the entire book, which I really enjoyed. And I really enjoyed the fact that the criminal organization piece was not overly graphic and a major part of the book. Like, the book was the story of how you could be meant for somebody but with somebody else, and navigating that on both parts. Like, the wife had to navigate her feelings on allowing her husband to do this, and you find out so many secrets, so many things are happening that make you understand why he got the hall pass. So I think this will be a perfect book for those who want to get into urban fiction but don't want to get into anything that's like extreme urban fiction. Like, you want to get into like a cross between, so it's like a cross between, has a little bit of specs and pieces of urban fiction, but it's not overwhelming. Great book. I think I want to read that again, and I think I want to read that again this month. Another great book that I love, All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby, which was a thriller or mystery. A school teacher gets shot in the school by a former student, and we get this sheriff trying to uncover. He's a first black sheriff in a small Virginia town, and he's trying to uncover why the young man shot the teacher. It's so many twists, it's so many turns. You get like the stubble fight that he has to go through. You have the town like coming again, like so many town secrets are popping up, and it's such a good mystery. It will keep you on your toes. The pacing was great. It didn't lag. Love that. And that's by S.A. Cosby. Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. I read that in the beginning of the year. Everybody talks about Only for the Week. It was indie published. Now I think it's being traditionally published. I will be getting a copy for my library because I do want to read it. I'll probably read it again at the end of the year. And it was about a girl who sisters is marrying her fiance, her ex-fiance. And then she falls in love with the best man. And that's all I'm gonna say. Read it. And then my final book was All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. It is a thriller. It has like a historical aspect to it. It is about a lawyer. She's the only black lawyer in her firm. She is dating her boss. He ends up being murdered. She finds him. She leaves. Doesn't say anything. And the story follows her as she's trying to figure out what happened to her boss. How does it connect to her past? And trying to keep her past a secret. So we see why she's trying to keep her past a secret. It is very heavily family focused. And I knew I was gonna love it when like the opening chapter was about her getting on a bus back in the 70s in small town Georgia. Like, and she goes to this school and she makes it out of this small town. Like, the trauma and drama from her childhood versus how she lives in her adulthood is very reminiscent of a lot of... I hope you guys can still see me. I know the sun is probably going down, but the trauma and drama she experiences in her childhood and how that relates to her adulthood and the choices she makes was a very good aspect of the story. It kind of makes you think about how you are living now versus how you lived when you were younger and why. So I really enjoyed that book, and I did read Wanda's second book that came out this year, 2024, which was this will be Wanda's third. That would have been Wanda's third book, which is What We Left Behind. Also a good book. It didn't make it in my top 10, but it was worth the read. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it a 4-star. She also has, I think it's Nowhere to Run. I definitely want to read that one, and that will complete her catalog, I think, this year. So it is the story Nowhere to Run and All Her Little Secrets, they tie. And then what we left behind, I don't think it ties into, no, I don't think so, but I'll have to go back and check because it could be a character that links them that I didn't catch. So those are my top 10. If you're looking for anything good to add to your TBR for 2025, check out any one of these books. Like, definitely James. That's, I think, Barnes & Noble's book of the year. Love Song for Ricky Wilde. Indigo, Bitter and Sweet. This Could Be Us, Their Vicious Games, Soul Ties, All of the Sinners Bleed, Only for the Weak, and All Her Little Secrets. That is my 2024 favorites. So for 2025, my plan for my reading plan for this channel is to do one weekly kind of reading wrap up or weekly reading vlog, to stay in the trenches. I want to stay up to date. I want to diversify my reading, so I want to read not only fiction, I want to read nonfiction, I want to read in the Christian fiction and Christian romance space. I want to try a little bit of fantasy. I want to kind of find my favorite genre. That was a goal last year. I didn't find my favorite. I've hit on hints or genres that I like. I haven't identified, like, anytime something in this genre comes out, I'm gonna read it. I want to identify my favorite author. I do have a reading goal, which is to read 60 books this year. So I think I can do it. I read 20 books last year, 20 to 25 books. There probably were a few that I missed that I didn't track. So I'm gonna give myself a 5-book, leeway. So I think I could do 60. That's 5 books a month. If I shoot for 1 book a week, 1.5 books a week, I should be able to hit my goal. And that includes listening. Like, I have to think, while I'm working, I could be listening to books and things like that. So I'm gonna do 60 books a week. I want to develop a goal for my actual physical library. Like, I want to build a library, but I don't want to just buy books just to be buying books and then have to unhaul them. I want to buy books that are, like, meaningful. I want to buy books that I'm going to read again in the next 5 years. So, for example, like James, I know that I'll read again, and I want to add that to my library this year. So I'm gonna, like, create a list of books that I want to buy specifically for my library. Most of the books I'm gonna read this year, I probably will check out from the library. And I'll probably do like a 1 book a month type of thing, because I don't have a lot of space, and I don't want to clutter my space with just books I'm not reading. Like last year, I brought a lot of books from the dollar store, books that I haven't read, and they're just sitting on my shelf, and I don't want that. I want books that somebody can go up and say, oh, I want to read that, and pick it off my shelf, or books that I know I'll read in the next 5 years. I want to do more bookish events, have more bookish adventures, like maybe do bookish travel, like exploring other bookshops and book festivals, things like that. So I would say at least do something each quarter, bookish, like a bookish adventure each quarter. And then I want to be more intentional with my reading, like the things that I'm reading. So last year, I kind of took a lot of recommendations from TikTok and what's popular on TikTok, and that led me down a dark path, child. Like, I was reading stuff that just did not sit right with my soul, and could be the reason why I stopped reading. Like, I know I stopped reading after I read Trees by Percival Everett, and Trees just took me out, guys. That was just too much for me. too heavy, too dark, too confusing. It was a thriller based off of Emmett Till and what happened with Emmett Till and the hundreds of people that were, thousands of people that were lynched from back 19. It was heavy, guys. It was heavy. So I stopped reading for another 2 months. That put me in a reading slump. Like I could not, like it was too much for my mind. So I want to be more intentional about the things I'm reading. I'm realizing that I don't like books with like heavy spice, like chapters of just spice, like spice that just the whole book is spice, no nothing else but spice, like nothing. It's like no, that's not for me. I like a little bit of spice, maybe 2 peppers. Other than that, if the story can't progress without the spice, what is the point of the spice? It's like watching a dirty movie to me. Like, what's the point of the book? Is the spice? No. And I want to attempt to write a book this year. Like, this is a goal. This is something that I wrote an entire book back in early 2000s, like 2008. No. It was like 2004, 2005. I wrote an entire book and I never published it. And I've been writing short stories here and there, and I just never did anything with them. I just wrote them. So this year I want to really try to write something, maybe like a novella, something short, something sweet, and see where it goes from there. So those are my 2025 reading goals. So I will be tracking my reading this year. I will be doing a reading journal. I'm going to share that setup with you once I pick out the perfect journal. I also, like I said, will be doing one dedicated reading video a week. The channel will be rebranded probably in the second quarter of the year, as I figure out, hone down on the style and the things that I love and want to continue. I will be doing more lifestyle content, so there will be one dedicated reading video, there will be one dedicated like lifestyle vlog, and then I want to do like a sit down type of video. So there'll be 3 videos I'm trying to aim for a week. I know definitely 2 videos, but if I have more time, then I'll definitely get to 3. And then we'll check back in at the end of the year with these goals. So that is my reading wrap up. So if you enjoy reading and books, if you enjoy health and wellness, productivity, and everything in between, a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit of beauty, a little bit of travel, please join Uncommonly Queen. Subscribe, like, and share.